Tom, you're looking slim and feminine.
Well, thank you there, Becky. I'm not sure what to say about that. You know, I was having a friend over for dinner last night who's immune compromised, and it's 7. They were due at 7, and it's 7:46. I thought, you know, I should really go get a test because I had, it just felt like a cold.
Yep.
Feels like a cold, but I didn't want to take a chance on infecting anyone. So,
well, thank you for that. We miss you.
Within 15 minutes, I was positive.
Thank you for sparing us, Tom.
My pleasure. Hopefully, I'll be better. I'll test negative by Monday's show.
Yes.
Carol's here.
Although I will say I just canceled my trip to Miami, Becky.
So should we do Thursday?
If you prefer, we could do Thursday now.
I would be safe.
Then I can be there in person.
The only thing is we'll just let Beachers know.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty fine.
And we've got a bunch of guests, but I'm sure that that's just how it rolls.
Yeah, like I said, I should be fine by Monday, but you never know. All right, Bridget, are you ready, set?
Ready to go.
Sean, are you ready?
Rock and roll.
Sean McFadden?
Yeah, we're all set.
We need a Scottish burr with all
Do
of
I
that,
need to
Tom.
be any closer to my mic, or can you hear me loud and clear?
It's muffled. It could be better.
You could get a little closer. If you can get closer, that would be a little more.
Does anyone in the audience want to see my kitchen?
Woo!
Look at all those.
Show off. Show off.
This is my double sinks.
Beautiful.
This is my 2-minute cycle dishwasher.
It goes in like 90 seconds, right?
Yeah. This is my spray hose to pre-rinse everything.
I like the quilted stainless there. That's nice.
Quilted
Nice touch.
stainless. There's my view of the Puget Sound.
Oh, nice.
There's my huge butcher block counter. It's big enough for 10 people to stand around and have cooking class. Just in case anybody in the audience cares. They're probably all seasick now. All right. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. It's Chef Tom Douglas.
No.
Coming
no
to you
clapping.
live from the neighborhood of Blue Ridge in uptown Ballard in the fine city of Seattle.
And we're here at the Hotel Andra, Tom, and it's lovely here.
And it's lovely outside. Unfortunately, I got COVID sometime between my trip to the airport in Heathrow and from Heathrow to here. Somehow or another, I picked up a bug. So here I am coming to you by Zoom from North Ballard.
So we've got a nice group of listeners here, Tom, and they're enjoying the wonderful blueberry muffins. And they've all decided to stay, so that's good.
Hey, that's because you're so charming, Bridget. Anyway, we have a very large show. Becky, our producer, put together a beautiful show today. Some upcoming classes at the Hot Stove. We have the Food Lovers Vietnamese edition, which Annie, our cohort, Annie is going to host. But she's also bringing in some amazing chefs from around Seattle. Yen V. Palm from Pho Bach, Chef Peng and Sammy Nguyen from On Lam, and Chef Quinn Pham from Anchovies and Salt are all going to be here. It's the July 20th from 9 to 5. So we call these intensives because that's exactly what they are. We get started early in the morning with breakfast, and we just plow through until we have cocktails and appetizers at 4 or 5 o'clock. So
Super fun.
it's super fun.
Are you coming, Becky?
I hope so.
It's action-packed. It's going to be amazing.
And I believe you're doing something.
Yeah.
What are you demo?
Well, I'm doing, Annie and I in the past have done classes on the Vietnamese-French connection. So I'm going to offer my history lessons on that. And we're going to talk about the variations on crepes from the Vietnamese side and the French side. And
Very
then we're
cool.
gonna do a little hands-on, which will be fun.
Fun. A crepe Suzette?
Super fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
What does crepe Suzette have to do with Vietnam? That's what I want.
Well, it's just that French occupation. It became a very big part of their cuisine. I can't imagine they used actual oranges. They probably used calamansi or other types of citrus. But in that cafe society, that's what they ate. I mean, all the wealthy of Vietnam milling around the different cities had French food because that was what was popular.
Speaking of the Cafe Society, one of my last meals I had in London was at a place called the Dish Room, and there's 10 of them in London. They seat about 250 people each. They have a line from the beginning in the morning at 8 a.m. when they open for breakfast through their closing time at midnight. There's a line out the door, and they are an Iranian cafe made famous in Mumbai. These kind of Iranian cafes and a cafe culture. So when you just said cafe culture in Vietnam, it was surprised to hear, I always think of our kind of cafe culture being kind of Greek oriented. You see a lot of Greek American diners, but apparently Iranis had lots of diner type places in Mumbai and around India.
Did you go in and order at a counter, or was it a walk around and you ordered from different counters?
It's a restaurant, and it was so darn busy. It was unbelievable. Wow. And they were just powering the food out there. And it's all Indian-based. The breakfast was kind of an Indian-based Scottish breakfast, classic. And then starting with lunch, it was very much Indian-based.
Oh,
We're going to dive into Dungeness crab today, which I'm going to lean on Bridget for because she's a crabber.
Yep.
She's not only crabby, but she's a crabber. Made in Washington is celebrating 40 years, with Kristen Frostmo joining us here to share a selection of locally made products, stories, and Father's Day gift ideas. I'm looking forward to having her. She's always fun to have on the show. We're going to talk about Father's Day cooking inspirations. Let's see, who else is going to be here? Lauren Thompson from Cafe Lago. Carla just announced that she's kind of taken over the kitchen Lauren Thompson has, and she's very excited about it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, Cafe Lago is a stalwart in our restaurant community. It's been around forever.
34 years.
How many?
34.
Wow.
Yeah. Carla and Jordy, when they were married, started it, and she still runs it to this day.
That's amazing. Yeah. And Carla had opened that Canal Market, and man, the food was amazing there. Somebody else
that was a struggle, though. I mean, that's a quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so Simple to Spectacular, we're going to feature sea bass. And I had a lot of this when I was up in Scotland and all the way down through my trip to London. And I will tell you, I had some good fish and some really bad fish. And we'll talk a little bit about that in that segment, because you have to be careful when you're cooking whole fish to find out how it's provenance, essentially, both in the nature of the fish in general and how long it's been sitting on its guts, how long it's been, in Europe, they saw a lot of whole fish that's not gutted. And we always talk about shrimp, right? Like spot prawns, where you have to get that head off of it while it's still alive, or the enzymes from the head start to eat at the body. And I think some of the whole fish that I had in Europe, it wasn't properly handled.
Wasn't little funkadelic, huh?
One was like I tried to take the skin off, and it came off as fish puree. The whole fish was like fish puree. Cecil Hansen is here, and Christina Pearson from the Duwamish tribe to celebrate Indian fry bread. And I don't know much about this. I'm so excited to hear more about, the fry bread culture. I grew up going to the Amish fairs in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we had fry bread, or kind of elephant ears, all the time. And I think we want to relate it to Indian fry bread, and I don't really think it's the same thing at all.
Looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, we're going to learn, I think. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. And of course, we're going to finish the show with Rub and Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, in which I really plan on trouncing Bridget, because I am, I am Tom Douglas worldwide right now. I just got off a plane. I'm like worldwide, like what's his name, Pitbull.
Yep.
You are in serious trouble today.
I don't know, Tom. I just did my 23andMe, and I'm I don't know, 50% Irish, and the rest is Scottish. So I got you, man.
Oh, that's a little scary.
It is.
Bridget, what is your taste of the week?
Oh, you'll be impressed. My husband called me a couple of 2 days ago, and was at Wajimai over in Bellevue. They had a beautiful fish counter. It was spectacular. I'm sure much like the one downtown. And he was like, "What should I get?" And I go, "Get whatever interests you." And he got skate wing. So I cooked skate wing. It was delicious. It was rather big, and I should have split it in half, but I put a light breading on it and pan seared it just quick, and then did the traditional kind of caper piccata style sauce. And man, Spencer kind of freaked out. It was like, whoa, what is this? But then as we ate it, it was delicious.
Did you leave it on the bone?
Yeah.
On the cartilage?
Well,
Yeah.
it's hard because the wing was almost as big as my pan. I almost ran downstairs to grab a 14-inch pan.
What's
But I
the
just-
texture of skate wing?
It's a little soft and
It's like
it can
sole,
be-
right? Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like a good sole. Sole is a troublesome product as far as I'm concerned. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But when you get gray sole, for example, around Seattle, it's just a pile of mush, in my opinion. When you get petrale sole, now you're looking at a much firmer fish. And I would say that is more similar to skate than gray sole.
Right. And the thing about skate is if you overcook it, it gets really rubbery. And I use my fish spatula to serve it at the table, and you literally just scrape the meat kind of off the bones and, have pieces of the fillet. It's been years since I've done it, but it was delicious.
Well, I've always cooked it just like you did, except when I first moved to Seattle, it was much more popular. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, oddly enough, in Seattle, they were bringing fish in from the East Coast quite often, whether it was striped bass or skate or scallops or lemon sole. A lot of it was coming from the East Coast. And, it was in my time as chef, and I'm not saying just me, but a lot of chefs, just really kind of discovered, focused, and limited themselves to Northwest product rather than bringing in all this stuff from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Because, when there's a commercial fishery offering product, it's hard to turn it down.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, my exposure to it a lot here in town was down at Il Terrazzo Carmine. Carmine loved all that different fish. So
Right.
I was saute at lunch, and it was different fish every week.
Yeah, super fun. My taste of the week is a tried and true. It might have even been my taste of the week before. I don't quite remember. But coming home from the airport from London, after being in Scotland and the UK and eating so much bland food that my lunch at Dish Room, my Indian lunch was actually really spicy. I had mutton in a fried pepper sauce, and it was really, really spicy. So that was the first bit of spice. So I was in the mood to stop at Thai Siam on my way home, which is at 80th and 15th in North Ballard. And I always get the salmon in the Red Sea. It's my favorite dish there. And there's two things I really like it. One is they only use wild fish. And so I'm getting a delicious piece of coho salmon. I'm sure it's been frozen, but it's perfectly delicious. And then they make a little coconut red curry sauce for it. Put it on a bed of sauteed spinach, do some roasted green peppers and red peppers, lots of basil leaves and lime leaf. And it's just, and I always get it 3 stars, so it's got a little kick to it. And that Mop Ploy red curry paste is something you can buy, keep in your fridge for a lifetime. It's really good, and it can, depending on how much you use, can really pack a punch.
And is that the stuff in the white tub? You can get green
Yeah.
and red? Got it.
Green, yellow, and red.
Huh.
And I just love it. And last night, I didn't have any coconut milk. I was having friends over for supper, and I didn't have any coconut milk, so I used some gazpacho I had got from Spain, and in a gift box at Christmas time, and it was been in my fridge, and it had a pull date of a year, and blah blah blah. But I made a red curry gazpacho kind of version of this sauce for the wild salmon. Gave it a really
Oh.
hard sear
That sounds
on king
interesting.
salmon. Yeah.
Would you do it again?
Did it. Absolutely. Man, Jackie pretty much did it. Like I said, I was feeling a little punky, and so I had a friend coming over that was immune compromised. So I thought, very last minute, I better get a test.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran up to the QFC, got a test, and within 15 minutes, I was positive. So we had to cancel our supper.
Yeah.
As they walked in the front door, we said, you got to go. So that's just the way life goes sometimes. Luckily, I don't feel horrible, and which is good.
That's
All
great.
right, Kristen Frosmo is coming. She's the president and CEO of Made in Washington. And, in 1984, Bridget, I catered the opening of the first Made in Washington store a million
awesome.
years ago. Yeah.
Do you remember the
So we're
menu?
gonna- I don't, not even for a
Okay.
second.
Just,
We're going to be right back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
perfect. We clapping? We can clap.
Sure, why not?
So, Tom, we're going to go. The next segment is crabbing, and Kristen's the segment after that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
so
worries.
I'll go back and do that again.
Perfect.
Coming up next, we're going to talk Dungeness Crab right here in the Hot Stove Society Studios in downtown Seattle, the beautiful Hotel Andra, in about 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just scanned right down my page. Sorry.
Have you ever done this Zoom before?
I have, oddly.
Uh-oh.
Well, right after COVID started, we had to close all of our restaurants. So we
Right.
only had Zoom there in the Hot Stove Studios in face masks.
Remember that?
Or I was shucking oysters on the sidewalk at Seatown.
Mm-hmm.
Or we put a pizza oven on the dock at Ballard and started cooking pizza outside in Ballard.
Yeah, the dock was first. Dock was
Anything
first, then
to-
Seatown.
yeah.
Right?
Anything to survive.
Pivot. Amazing pivot.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Are we going to be okay?
How are those blueberry muffins, audience members?
The muffins were delicious. Sean made them. They had a beautiful top to them. Annie was impressed.
Kind of like me, a gorgeous muffin top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice color. And
Good.
then Annie's coming out with the delicious breakfast. The torta espagnole is coming out with the sautéed chard and the chorizo. So our guests
Lovely.
here are in for a treat.
All right, we're back here in the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo Radio, right here in the beautiful studios of the Hot Stove Society Cooking School. You too can come and be friends with us here. It's a good time. Have a company party here. What do we do? Didn't we have a paella party there last night?
Last night was Dumpling Challenge. We had a private
Ooh,
event
fun.
with a company. Yeah, a couple of nights ago we did the paella party. It was great. We
Yeah.
had a group. The Google Cloud tech people came in. They had
Fun.
fun. They were from all over the world, so they were impressed duly.
I was saying, I'm on Zoom today because I've got a little case of the COVID, and so when we flipped to Zoom for our hot stove and started doing online classes, one of our very first classes was for Amazon, and it was for 1,600 people all over the world. Because this COVID event was happening everywhere, right? So they were trying to bring their teams together, and by golly, we did it in 9 different time zones.
That was amazing. I remember
Yeah.
that.
All right, Bridget, let's talk Dungeness crab.
Yeah.
You are a crabber at heart. You're a
Yep.
shrimper, a crabber. Are you a fisherwoman too?
It's a little boring.
Yeah, I agree.
But crabbing's fun because you get to bomb out there, you hang out, drop
So
the
tell
traps.
us about a typical crabbing trip for you for Dungeness crab. Where do you go? How do you get them? What's your setup like?
So the setup's tricky. It's funny. My husband and I got a place up in the San Juans. What is it, like 8 years ago now? And we're just inside James Island, across from Blakely, at that passage. If you were to take the ferry over to Orcas Island, that first group of islands you pass, that's where we're located, and it's on Davis Bay. And you can crab in that bay. There aren't a ton of houses there, so it's not a bad place to crab. But the thing about crabbing is you've got to check with fisheries. You need to get a license. So you go to the Washington State Department of Fish and Game, and you have to have a license. And then, so whoever's on the boat, unless there's 2 people on the boat and they both have it, then they're in charge, kind of a deal. And so with crab, they say it's when you're catching crab, you know, it needs to be kind of the width of your hand between the two fingers, or the back of the crab needs to be the length of a dollar bill.
6.5 inches.
6.5 inches.
6.25.
Yeah, and we never take them that
Yeah.
small. We
Yeah.
always go for the bigger ones, and the females always go back. Now, the tricky thing about crabbing is it's different than shrimping. Crabbing, you're dropping the trap 100, anywhere from like 80 to 150 feet of water. Depends. Maybe sometimes shallower if you know there are a lot of crab there. And the bay that we're on, after that first opening of crab season, which is generally in July, it opens up, and you know, it's not that it's fished out. They're just, the crab have gotten smart and they're out of there. You know, the best bait for crabbing is if you're out fishing, to fillet your fish and leave the head on the spine, and that goes into the trap as is, into your little pot in the center. And man, the crab go nuts, just bonkers. You'll absolutely fill the trap. Otherwise, the other little trick is you can go to the store and get either chicken backs or chicken drumsticks, something inexpensive or something on sale. Leave it outside for a day. Let it get really kind of skanky, and then put that in the trap. They can't get at it, and it releases a lot of kind of oils and perfume. And so those are, chicken's a great one, and the carcass from a salmon. So if you know a butcher or a fish market, talk to them before you go. Now, the other thing is, you can go to West Marine or one of the fishery stores and get the crab traps, and they're these rickety ones that are okay if you're on a stand-up paddleboard and you're dropping out in the bay in front of your house. You know, lightweight, no big deal. But the deal is that when you're dropping a crab trap, you want weight, because you want that trap to sit on the bottom.
Makes sense.
And you need to have enough line. Usually it's that yellow nylon line. You need to have enough line to account for the tides, because otherwise the traps will just float and woo, off they go, which we've had that happen.
You put a float on the end of your line in case it falls, or what? How do you keep track of that line?
So West Marine sells a floating nylon line, and so you can do a heavy weighted line for the first part attached to the trap, and then you tie those two lines together, and then you have a floating bright yellow line that you attach your float to. And you just want to account for the change, the footage and the change in tide, and have enough line fed out. And then you want to have multiple floats on your line, on your bright line, with your phone number, your name and phone number on them. People still steal them anyway, but you know, just in case, if it turns up.
So you then leave it out for 24 hours?
Yeah, usually 24 hours. Sometimes if the crabbing's really good, we'll go out before dinner, 2 p.m. or so, and we'll buzz up around Blake Island there and drop our traps. And then we'll come back just before dinner and check them and see if there are any crab, and then we'll drop the trap back down and leave it overnight.
So I learned a fun fact that I'm curious if either of you know. It's Dungeness crabs are named after the Dungeness Historic Crabbing Area in Washington, where they were first commercially harvested in 1848 and said to be the oldest known shellfish fishery in the North Pacific coast. So in 1792, the village got its name from the English sea captain, George Vancouver, who named it New Dungeness because it reminded him of the Dungeness headland in the English Channel. So the historic crabbing village is the origin of the common name of the crab, not the other way around. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's awesome. That's an amazing bay there. That's Squim Bay.
I would have thought it would have an Indian name. I guess I just assumed
I assumed that too, but it was actually
Indian.
George Vancouver named it.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, it's that's an amazing bay. So I know Tom goes up to Central Market like I do. If feeling like having some crab, they've got big tanks, and there's a couple of fishermen that come out of the Dungeness Bay and that Squim Bay there, and it's amazing because I've seen them come into Central Market with their van, and they have garbage cans tied up in the back of their van full of crab. And they just
Richard, you gave away my secret. That's my favorite crabbing spot. is
I
the
know.
Kankakee
Sorry.
Now they're gonna
sorry.
run out.
Shoreline Central Market.
Oh.
I find it very easy to crab there.
God. It's expensive, but they're super fresh, and they come in a couple of days a week, and they're native, so they're not restricted on the fisheries. I have a funny story, Tom. When we first started doing more boating, Spencer was younger. We were with some friends. We ended up renting a sailboat up in the San Juans, and we went up to Henry Island and Roche Harbor, which I grew up spending time on Pearl Island there. So we always were going for crab, going down to Westcott Bay or what have you. And so anyway, we decided to put the sailboat on the hook just there at Henry Island. And we're like, oh, we'll go ahead and drop the crab trap. This will be great, And I said, I remember, dropping a trap here before. So, me, Miss Smarty Pants. So we go ahead and drop a trap. Bummer, wrong day. So we wake up the next morning, trap's gone.
Uh-oh.
And there's a kind of a big tide change there. So we're like, too much, problems with the tide, all of that. And we come to find out later from one of the old salts on the dock at Roche there, he's like, dummy, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can't have a trap in the water. It's like, oh, bummer. There goes Tom. So anyway.
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. We were so mad. We're like, somebody stole it. God, we rallied, and it took a day, and then we figured it out.
Well, up next, we've got Kristen Frostmo from Made in Washington. They're celebrating 40 years, so we're really excited to welcome them to the show.
I know. Great.
Tom, we lost. Oh, he knows that.
Is Tom back? Here comes Tom. His Wi-Fi isn't good. So you're listening to the Hot Stove Radio Show on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM. Come right back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's going to set up here. I'm good. So nice to see you. Do you want to put it... Yeah, the whole stove's open if you want to. Here. You want to elevate it a little bit? Is this... Yeah, great.
Oh my goodness. Let's make sure we're getting...
Just tell him back. Okay.
Fun.
So I think we have about 30 seconds for that.
30 seconds.
Yes, so
For the
I
close-
did the intro for Kristen Frostmo, Made in Washington, but Sean can keep us posted, and you could redo it.
No, that's fine.
Do we have enough time?
So we're set to go on the next segment.
Yes, and Kristen's setting up right now.
All right.
Very fun. Oh, these are the...
They're very dangerous.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're
Right at the mic.
You're an old salt. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't wave my hands too much. Good.
Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Tom, I'm so sorry you're sick. Ish.
Oh, life happens.
Yeah.
Could be worse. It could have been sick after not having 2.5 weeks of vacation on the UK. In the UK.
Good point.
All right, we ready, set?
We're ready.
All right, Kristen Frostmo is here. She's the president and CEO of Made in Washington. Let's do that again. All right, Kristen Frostmo is here. She's the president and CEO of Made in Washington. And you're listening to us at the Hot Stove Society. It's on 97.3 FM. Hey, Kristen, how are you, by golly?
Great. How are you, Tom?
Good. I'm sorry I can't be there in person.
I know. We don't get to sample food today with you.
Why? Yeah, exactly. But you'll have to deal with Bridget. She's a feisty one.
She brought it.
I don't think I said this in the beginning, but Bridget Charters is one of the chef instructors at the Hot Stove Society, and also partly responsible for the opening of Hot Stove some 10 years ago. So, which
Nice.
reminds me that this is your 40th anniversary at the Made in Washington stores.
It is. It's not my personal 40th anniversary, but our company is celebrating 40 years this year. Yeah, we opened.
You could pass. You could pass.
I know you don't look a day over 29.
Thank you. Love you. Yeah, we opened in Pike Place Market, 1984.
And you
That's
had
amazing.
50 vendors at that time, which was not including me, because our Rub with Love product line came out, I want to say, about 26 or 7 years ago.
Oh, I was wondering how long that had been around. I mean, you're one
Yeah.
of our big, important brands in our stores now. But yeah, when we started out, it was a pretty small business down in the market, and our founders had traveled to another state and were inspired by another retail store that was focused on local goods. And they thought, well, Washington has like the best locally made products there could be. So they opened the store down in the market, and it is still like a crazy busy store this time of year, especially all the cruise ships coming in and everyone wants to come check it out. So we're super excited to celebrate our anniversary and talk about all the great makers that we celebrate from our state.
You now have a store at Pike Place, Bellevue Square, and Alderwood Mall, and you have a licensed store at the SeaTac Airport, which is the one I shop at the most, really, because
Yes.
Is that
that's
right?
That's the one I go
when I'm
to.
going on a trip, my favorite thing to do is to have a book or to have a rub with me when I fly. And then when I get really good service on the plane, I like to, give a little gift. And so that's what I give as my gift.
Oh, that's so nice.
My last trip to Melbourne, I gave away both books before I even got to Melbourne. So I mean, it was an 18-hour flight, but
But you had some good service. That's good to hear.
yeah, exactly. And you're also online. So
Yes.
tell us about some of the products that you have sitting in front of you there at the Hot Stove.
Absolutely. We're doing something really special in honor of our 40th. So sorry. And we put together 40 favorite products, which is this enormous basket. Those of you here
It's
can
beautiful.
see. And it really represents everything we do. So of course, you got to start with smoked salmon because we sell just a ton of smoked salmon. And that was one of the original products that we had. Actually, one of our very first products that we have consistently carried all 40 years, I put those out of reach, is Market Spice Tea from Pike Place.
I
That
love
is
that.
so fun,
So
yeah.
spicy and delicious.
Still
Yep.
such a great seller for us. It's funny, we were just talking about how many more people are buying decaf these days. I think as people are talking about, whatever health benefits, I have lots of caffeine. So, but it comes in both. And so that's one of our very first products. And of course that's in there. And of course you have to have a Tom Douglas salmon rub.
Yeah.
And Fisher scone mix, like these classics that are such a part of our culture here. Everyone knows and loves. We have a whole pound bag of Seattle chocolates in there.
Danger.
Yeah,
Danger.
exactly.
Those are so
I know
good.
you don't have to tell your family you've got those in the basket. You
It's
could
your-
just put those aside for yourself.
Just hide them in a drawer somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe they get 35 of the 40 in the basket.
Right. No, they must have miscounted. There's only
Yeah.
35 items here. I don't know. So yeah, and then we also tried to introduce some of the most recent things that are new discoveries. So it's really like the best through our whole history. And so this is available online. We don't have very
That's
many of them. It's a really special screaming deal, but we just thought it would be really fun to
So
celebrate
you
like
sell
the breadth.
this basket.
We are selling it. It doesn't come in that big thing. That's just like our carrying rig. But yeah, it's all of those items and these few here in front of me.
And can I ask how much this is?
It's a very special deal. It's $400. So 40
Wow.
items, $400. And there's some good stuff in there. There's a blown glass ornament from Glass Eye. You can also see like a cute little glass pumpkin because glass is a really important part of our
Yes.
Washington culture too.
Yeah,
so we've
and I see
included
the applets and cotlets,
Applets and
another
cotlets,
classic. and
exactly.
Puzzles.
Oh, who bought them? Who bought applets and cutlets? I thought they went out of business. Somebody must have bought them.
Someone
I think they
rescued
were
'em.
acquired. Yeah,
Yep.
but they're still operating here in Washington.
So happy to hear
as
that.
of now, I know, because there's a few cases where you hear that they're acquired from out of state and then they shut down the local
Mhm.
offices, which is a loss for our
Is
our
Almond
area.
Roca in here?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Look at you. It's
ooh.
right behind the pumpkin there. You can
Perfect.
see.
That's
And
Let's
go
checker
back to
cherries.
Oplets.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the applets and cotlets because I think it's a misunderstood confection. To me, it has real Turkish roots as far as the
Exactly.
nature of the beast is, where it's like a fruit jelly, often with nuts, and then dusted with powdered sugar and maybe a little bit of cornstarch so it stays separated. To me, it's a textural issue. People either like it or don't like it, not based necessarily on the flavors, but based on the texture.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And I didn't know, I had heard there was a Turkish candy that it was kind of originated from, but I didn't really know the whole story behind it. And I don't know if the original founders of Applets and Cotlets then were Turkish, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I love them.
Do you? Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, like you said, it's definitely people that love it go crazy and they're so excited when they see it in our stores. Our Bellevue store can't keep it in stock. It's just, we used to only carry it around the holidays and now we carry it year round because there's such a demand for it.
Oh, that's great.
The ones from Turkey you often find have either orange blossom or rose water fragrances to them. They're real perfumey and lovely.
Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Yeah.
Now
I
I
didn't
see
know.
some boxes in the bottom here, some little look like gift boxes.
Yeah,
What's
some little
inside those
hidden treasures. One of those is the glass eye ornament. So they
Uh-huh.
do these beautiful round glass Christmas ornaments in all different colors. And I think the one in there is they base them on birthstones. So I think it's the aquamarine that we have in there. I can't remember what else we've tucked in those.
I see some
Sometimes it's just the
coffee
fragile
and
things. Yeah, there's
puzzle, and
coffee, hot sauce, mustard, another tea,
salt, there.
Coro salami, Fran's chocolates,
Oh,
a
perfect.
shrub. That's
Yeah.
kind of a hot new
Uh-huh.
category as more people are consuming non-alcoholic drinks and looking for interesting flavors. That one's from Orcas Island, the Girl Meets Dirt
Yeah.
shrubs.
Oh,
Those have
those are
been
great.
really great, very refreshing in the summer.
Uh-huh.
Little club soda or something. What else am I seeing in there? Oh, candles. That has been such a big category the last few years. Really came out of the pandemic. A lot of people started kind of playing with their favorite hobbies and turning them into businesses. So we've had a lot of interesting candle makers the
And then
last
I
few
was wondering
years.
how much of your business is via mail. Do you get a lot of hits from the internet
Yeah,
in terms of folks requesting shipments or
absolutely.
gifts?
I
Yeah.
love online shopping with you guys, and you get such a nice response back, and
Thank
and a
you.
link to share this, so you can read the stories about the things that you're purchasing, the
Really?
stories behind the makers. And
Oh,
it's
that's
really,
great.
Yeah, we
it's
have
sweet
a
touch.
whole maker page on our website.
Uh-huh.
We really want people to understand the faces behind the brands. I
It-
think
you
that's what
feel it.
makes it special. Yeah.
So if someone, Father's Day is coming up,
Yes.
and this is a lovely gift. but-
this is a really good dad that gets
Yeah.
this gift. Exactly.
So do you have some other suggestions for?
Sure. I mean, anything within that assortment always makes a great gift, but we brought a couple other favorites. One, and I don't think we've talked about this before, Tom, I thought you would be really interested, is Campfire Coffee. So they roast their coffees over an open flame, and we have this gift set of 3 of their different whole bean coffees.
What?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Do
So
you-
did they
I
put
know.
eggshells in there too for the whole campfire thing?
Yeah, right. I hope not.
Okay.
But yeah, he was telling me the story, the maker who is from Tacoma.
Oh.
He was in one of our stores sampling, and he said that he had the fire department called on him in one of his early days because he's like outside, open flame. I mean, this is how they start, right? A small
Yep.
business just starting out, like, hey, I'm going to try it out. I like the idea
Wow,
of this.
that's great.
And now they have a little bit more commercial approach to it, but it's still over an open flame. So it's called Campfire Coffee, and it's a really fun one to introduce for Father's Day. So a gift set would be a great one.
That's awesome.
Kristen, what flavor notes do you pick up from the fire? Obviously the other roasters oftentimes are fire, but they're natural gas fires. They're also electricity. But what do you pick up from the campfire?
Yeah, there is kind of a toastiness to it. And it's interesting when you see the beans, there's a little bit less of that totally consistent color and look, which I think is kind of interesting. Like you really see the beans. There's this slight char to some and a little bit more lightness to some. It's kind of fun to see the effects of this hand roasted over an open flame. I've had the espresso one. I haven't tried the other two, but the espresso was great. I think mountaintop espresso blend.
We have so many coffee vendors here in the
Yes.
Northwest now. Do you
Yeah.
rotate them out, or what do you do? How do you choose? You
We
know?
try to do that. Yeah. Kind of find new discoveries, things that are happening. It's hard. It's always hard to lose a maker, but there's times where, you know, we try to really respond to our customers. And if something else is kind of losing steam, then we always want to find new people and support those growing businesses. So yeah, I think we introduced 2 new coffee makers last year. I think Campfire was maybe the prior year. And actually, I think there's a couple new people that are just sending us samples. So it's just such a huge business in Washington. It's kind of hard to like limit yourself. We could have a whole store just of coffee, I think.
Yeah. And so where exactly in the market are you located?
We're on Post Alley. We're right next to Rachel's Ginger Beer and Pike
Oh,
Chowder for
got
people
it.
that know that. The tourists always know where Pike Chowder is. The line
Yes,
down the
yes.
alley is crazy all summer long, and we are right next to them. So we're lucky people pop in and check us out on their
That's
pre
awesome.
or post lunch.
And you guys are open 7 days a week?
We are, yeah. We follow the market hours, which I think this time of year now we're 9 to 6
Oh,
every
good.
day, and
Right.
yeah, those mornings are super busy.
And
Everyone's
then-
down in the market.
And then what's your email?
Our website
Your website?
is
Yeah.
madeinwashington.com.
Awesome.
It's long to type in, but just save it to your favorites and then you can
There
shop
you
anytime.
go.
Just instead of flowers, send Washington
Absolutely.
products. That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have plenty of time to ship out for Father's Day. So this is a good time to be looking for great ideas, including because you're talking about crab. We have a crab feast
I
for
ordered it.
grads and dads.
I
I love
did.
that.
Yep.
For
Did you
your
order
dad.
one?
It's shipping to my son's house. Yes.
Oh,
Now it's
They're
not going to
making
be a
us dinner.
surprise.
super fun.
Yeah.
Well, he still has to
Hey,
cook.
Kristen, we have to cut this off, but if you could retrain your staff to tell all those people in the Pike Place chowder line how much more delicious the Seatown chowder is down
Oh,
down the market.
Absolutely. We're on it. On it.
That would be good. I'll give you a nickel for every customer. All right, go out and check out Made in Washington. Next up, we're going to talk about Father's Day cooking inspirations. I know my dad was a prime rib man through and through. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That's great.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Do you want me to move this for the next segment or just do it at the end?
It's up to you.
I think I
Yeah, should we get Julie in here?
Okay.
Actually, I knew there was one ornament. Yeah.
Good, here. It's amazing, yeah.
Okay, you guys set?
Hold tight. Come on, Bridge.
Hey, Sean, will you time out your next break from Zoom so that we can do it? Just send me a new link at a proper time.
Yeah, I'll send you one for, I think we have an hour. So after hour 2, segment 2, I'll send you a new link.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right, Bridget's ready.
I'm ready.
I can't see her. Will you change the camera angle,
yep.
please?
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, what a sight. Lovely.
I'm gonna keep
Did you
my
see your
hands
svelte
down.
body? Do you notice your svelte body?
Do I notice my what?
Svelte body?
Your svelte body, Tom. You have a string of beads on.
It looks a little like Julia Child.
I'm not sure what the hell you're talking about, but
It's
let's
okay.
get going.
Oh, you're not watching on YouTube. Okay, on YouTube,
No.
Julia Child is your body. You're the head, and she's your body.
That's the first time Julia's ever been called svelte.
She was pretty trim.
In the early days, for sure.
That's different than svelte.
Here, I'm gonna text this to you. Here we go.
All right. We are back here in the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo Radio. I'm Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
Bridget is one of the chef instructors here. And Bridget, it's time for Father's Day. And, you know, it doesn't get by me that every time we talk food, you talk about your husband and what you've done together, going fishing or shrimping or camping or up to your house on the San Juans or whatever it is. And so I think my first question is, do you get your husband a Father's Day gift? Because he's not your father. And how do you feel about that? Because I personally think that it's on the child. Spencer should be getting your husband a Father's Day gift.
I agree.
I agree with that. Becky, you agree?
Absolutely.
But you know, my husband was so nice on Mother's Day, and he got me a card saying how much he appreciated what a good mother I was.
That's very sweet.
That was so nice. And he got me flowers.
He was just working you for a Father's Day gift.
Probably. But what he wants for Father's Day is like a big, beautiful head to center cut chunk of wild king salmon. Fresh as possible.
So we call that collar down.
Collar down?
Collar down. So
what does that mean?
Collar to the, yeah. So that's what he wants. And how would you cook that for him?
We usually just do it. We do it on the grill. I mean, the easiest is we just put a little piece. We leave the skin on. We put a little piece of foil down and put a little kind of cuff on the edge of the foil. I put a little oil down so the skin doesn't stick, and then fish on top. And we just get the grill nice and hot. Just turn on all. We have I don't know what it is, what kind of DCS or whatever, and we just get the grill nice and hot, piping hot, and then Tom, we've been putting veggie rub on our salmon, and my husband is hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been putting veggie rub on, and we have some fresh fennel seeds. We put that on, or maybe some fresh herbs on top of that, and it goes onto the grill, and we'll put it on we'll turn one side of the grill off and put the salmon there.
So indirect cooking, essentially.
Put the top back down, and man, just buttery and nice. So delicious.
Tom,
so you know what you can do, Bridget, to enhance that a little bit is put a little foil pack of wood chips with holes poked into it onto your burners. So at least you get some smoked flavor since you're you're committing the horrible sin of cooking over gas.
I know. I do have a Weber grill, but
duh.
I know, but my husband is the fire starter dude, even on Father's Day. So, but that's a good idea. Do I just put the wood right on top of the grates?
I soak the chips and I put them right on the burn. If I'm working on someone's gas grill, let's say, I would never have one personally, but if I'm catering at somebody's house and I'm working and I want that flavor, yeah, I do a foot-long foil roll full of wet applewood chips, fold it all up so that it's airtight, and then I poke little holes in the top. And so I put it right over the burner, and then it starts to smolder and smoke rather than just burn up, right? That's why I wet them. And you can even wet them with whiskey or red wine, or you can wet them with anything. It doesn't have to be water. Another thing that works beautiful are old oak stays from barrels, wood barrels that you can get at wineries sometimes. But those are, it's just it's a way to add a layer of flavor to that fish.
That's a good idea. Yeah, my husband has one. I don't know what they're called. The steaks that the local natives use for salmon, where they have the stays kind of holding the whole salmon fillet. Like that would be his ideal Father's Day, is to cook the salmon over the fire that way.
I once looked at making a business out of selling those because years ago, down at Sunset Magazine's annual event down in Menlo Park, California, I did 50 whole salmon on those little stays.
Yeah,
over a wood fire, and it is beautiful. It's a beautiful process, and you can still see out of, I think, at Blakely Island, right? Isn't that true? Or the Indian barbecue, salmon barbecue that they.
Oh yeah, Blake Island, where they have the Tillicum Village, where they cook it there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's
Tom,
so impressive.
Who cooks for you on Father's Day?
Well, I do have this thing about if somebody's going to, it has to be my daughter. I don't like when my wife has to cook me on Father's Day because she has to cook for her father. But since he's gone, I'll take it. If she was to cook for me, she would ask me, what do I want on Father's Day? I'm kind of right up there. I love king salmon.
Yeah.
I love salmon of any sort, whether it's Bristol Bay, sockeye, coho, king. I don't eat any more king out of the Salish Sea. If I'm going to have king, I get it from Alaska, sustained fishery. Boy, like last night, I told you we had the red curry salmon. We did a takeoff on the Thai Siam salmon in the Red Sea. But there is so many delicious ways to cook the fish. Bridget, you said the veggie rub, which is a fennel and garlic rub. This time of year, I will splurge on Copper River.
Mm-hmm.
And since I was in Europe, I haven't had my taste yet of Copper River. It came out just as I was leaving.
Yeah.
Here we are, 2.5 weeks later. So I look forward to getting that. But of course, with COVID, I have no taste buds. So I have to wait a few days before I invest half of my life savings into a Copper River king.
Yeah. The price per pound on the king's a little high right now, but sockeye, there's a special at the Town and Country markets for $12.98 a pound.
Yeah,
on the Copper River
fish.
Sockeye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Beautiful fish. Yeah. So anyway, so what else would I put with that? With a big piece of fish like that, I love an aromatic steamed rice. Like I'll put it into my rice cooker, a couple of cups of raw rice, a couple of cups of either water or chicken stock, and then a few star anise pods, and maybe a plug of ginger. And I'll actually cook the rice on that, and it comes out so fragrant when it's been steamed like that you don't really have to do anything to it other than to put some butter on top. Some king salmon, that, and we still have local asparagus. English peas are out. Maybe a little English pea risotto would be good with a piece of king salmon. Lots of Parmesan cheese. All those delicious things.
Yeah, and you know what else is in right now? I just saw it, morel mushrooms. You like those?
Chef Terry and I would argue about mushrooms because to me, many of the mushrooms that you got, including morels, didn't have enough flavor for the price point for me. Like when you're paying $40 a pound, I wanted to have flavor like a truffle does. I'd rather pay, $2,000 a pound for a white truffle than that has an unbelievable fragrance and flavor where you're only using a few grams on your risotto, say. So it's very expensive out of the gate, but in the big picture, it is, you know, with the amount that you use, it's not as expensive as it seems like it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and the fiddleheads, I saw fiddleheads and miner's lettuce, some of the local forage greens. We've already talked about nettles, whatever.
Whatever.
We're not going to revisit that.
That's funny.
I saw lots of fiddleheads and ramps in the forest of Scotland. It was super fun to be out there and walking through the forest and looking at all the things that are foraged from the forest, which we can do the same here. You know, it's amazing how similar, both in topography and in landscape, that we are to North Scotland. So they are about 10 degrees further north than we are. So we were playing golf until 10:30 at night.
Oh, wow.
So kind of like
I always-
Vancouver.
I just think it's super fun. You go in, you have supper, you drink some wine, and then you go out for a late night, what we call an emergency night. So you're a little juiced up, you're a little full, and you go play 9 holes of golf from say 9:30 to 10:30.
Oh man, that
And you
sounds
just
pretty.
go as fast as you can go. You're almost running down the fairway. And at the same time, we had clear skies, so we could see the northern lights, and it was
Wow.
quite the experience.
Wow, that's fun. We had a little dram of whiskey with you, I'm sure.
Of course, when we play Northern Troon, it's a tradition at Northern Troon to have a little bit of Drambuie and whiskey at the turn, a little shot that they keep in their golf bags. So
Does not sound like a bad thing. So you
No.
celebrated Father's Day early.
yeah, whiskey culture to me is very gentlemanly and appropriate for my life.
That's funny. Very
Becky,
good.
how about you? Do we have time to hear what Becky's making for Father's Day?
My son's cooking for his father, my husband.
Oh,
But I did.
what's he making?
I don't know. It's totally up to him. But I did give him a boost, and I sent from Made in Washington the crab, the frozen crab with their basket that comes delivered on
Oh.
dry ice. So I did help him out a little bit.
Oh,
So a little
Is-
crab feet.
I think we did for 6.
wow,
Oh.
that sounds nice.
Really fun.
What's our time like?
We're ready to go. We need to coming up.
All right. Okay, Sean, can you fix that little moment there for me? Okay, you guys, it's time to move on. Let's talk to Lauren Thompson. She's here from Cafe Lago when we come back in the Hot Stove Society Kitchen, 97.3 FM.
All right.
All right. What do you have?
Good to see you.
You can have Annie set up the taste for everybody.
It's so good to see you. Wow. I know I was reading the notes and I'm like, what? I know her.
Nothing to this.
Really close to the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Uh-oh, there goes Tom. Good.
I can see you, Bridget.
I know you. Good.
What is that?
It is an orange almond biscotti.
No, I want one. I'm going to cheat. Okay. I want one for sure.
That's a tester from yesterday.
So how long have you been at Lago? Well, we can do it on the radio too.
4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not long.
And you were at Juanita
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
Wow. Holly
Yeah.
must be so sad.
They're good. They're fine.
Yeah, of course.
The Garrison Hernandez, the sous chef that was there with me, is taken over. So he's been there for
You
3
live on
years.
the side anyway, right?
I live on the north side, actually. I live South Everett, Mill Creek area.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of the same commute, basically.
Tom, Sean's sending you a new link right now.
Okay.
He said okay. I'll have to email you. I got to get your card. Well, no, what is it?
And Lauren at laurenthompson.com or
Oh, okay.
Lauren at Cafe Lago.
At Cafe Lago. Yeah, because I see Mackay quite a bit. He's doing well. He's retired. He's like 75, 76, something
Wow.
like that, playing a lot of golf and
Good
stuff.
for him.
And we're cooking up a reunion of AI instructors,
No way.
like all the different folks from over the years. So I
Yeah,
was like,
that'd be great.
Lauren would be great,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I would
just
love
like
that.
people from the very beginning and all the way up until the end.
So you were there for a long time.
Yeah, I was there for 18 years. I miss, teaching culinary. I mean, it's different. It was, and it's fine now, you know. But the first couple of years, it was like, you know, just because you can't be intense, you know, and you have to. But it's just a different type of teaching, you know.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, it's amazing. I ran into Harry Mills. I don't know if he was there when you were there, but he was there at the very beginning. And he said, God, it was so intense. But he's like, I even miss it. He's been teaching at Sur La Table and filling in here and there because he went to Purple, opened Purple, and opened all their concepts, Barrio.
Hey, Bridget. Bridget.
I did
Hello,
not.
Sean,
ready,
can
Tom?
you hear me?
Ready?
I don't have any picture, so. Oh, there we go.
And Sean, now we're not on delay either. See, now we're on, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's a first pass.
I
Wow.
think it makes it easier for the guests. So you want to practice real quick, Lauren?
Sure.
You sound great.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we're back here in the kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
Anytime, Charters.
she's snacking.
Oh my God, these
Yeah.
biscotti are amazing, Tom. I'm sorry you can't have one.
I've only been eating them for 30 years, so Bridget, don't worry about it.
Not these.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Bridget Charters.
And Charters, what do you have in your face there right now?
This is an amazing orange almond biscotti that Lauren brought from Cafe Lago that she's sharing with the guests here in Hot Stove.
Nice.
Man,
Nice.
this
I
is
wish I
amazing.
could try it.
Mm.
Yeah. Lauren Thompson is our guest. She is the new chef operator at Cafe Lago,
Yes.
working with Carla. And I don't even know. I just know Carla as Carla. What's Carla's last name?
Leonardi.
Leonardi. I should have known that, but
Good
I forgot.
Italian. It's on the sheet, Tom.
Hi, Lauren. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You got to work for years with one of my favorite people, Holly Smith,
Yes.
over at Cafe Juanita.
Yes. About 15 years total, a few different
Wow.
times. Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
And I worked for John Sundstrom, another one of your alumni, for a few years as
Yeah.
well.
Did
You
you
know,
know,
at one time in the kitchens at the Dahlia, we had John Sundstrom, Holly from Lark, Holly Smith, now Cafe Juanita, Philip Mahalski of Nell's,
Mhm.
and a few others, to say the least, all in the same kitchen at the same time. It was
I
the
worked
glory
for a
days of
moment
the
at
Dahlia.
Nell's as well. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Very short time, but yes,
It's funny how it all kind of moves around.
very
Yeah.
much so.
So tell us about your new gig that you got going at Cafe Lago.
Right. So I have been at Cafe Lago for about 4 months now. I left Cafe Juanita, like I said, about 15 years total, but I've been there for the last 10.
Mhm.
And so last fall, Carla's chef parted ways with Lago. And so we have a mutual friend, Michelle Majidal. She owns Union Saloon in Wallingford, and then another Lark alumni. And
TD alumni too.
pardon?
And a TD alumni too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And an alumni of Cafe Lago many years ago. She was at Lago a number of years ago, I think, as their pastry chef. And then, so she and I go back a long way, and she and Carla go back a long way. So Carla and I were mutually acquainted through Michelle, and we'd flirted about me working for her for a few years, just, casually. And then the timing was right. And so it was one of those situations where, okay, I'm ready to talk. Okay, you're ready to talk. So let's have a conversation. And I kind of liken it to a first date that you close the restaurant down, because that's exactly what we did. We had a brunch meeting, and we were basically there when everybody else had left, just talking food and philosophy and hospitality. And it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, we get each other and we have the same philosophies about all of those things. And after a few more conversations, it just seemed like the right time to move on and embark on a new challenge and a new chapter.
That's awesome.
Boy, that must be difficult, walking into a restaurant that's been open 30 plus years or so. And, Carla and I are of the same vintage. And so I would imagine that she's got thoughts of what she's going to do in her future. And it's what an interesting spot for you to be in.
Very much so. It's she, like you said, 34 years strong. And she, in going through the process of looking for a new chef and trying to figure out what her next chapter is, and she what she's looking to do is and we're kind of trying to find a real balance between holding on to the traditions of Lago and the foods and the atmosphere that people have been going there for, bringing their kids, and now those kids are bringing their kids, and also to move it into more of a modern, elevated space. And so we're really, going through this balance of really respecting the tradition and also kind of moving forward to the next chapter, to new dishes, new food, at the same time holding on to what has made Lago so successful for so many years.
Yeah.
Will you please hold on to the slow roasted tomatoes?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
My mom, we ate there I'd been there before a few times, but I ate there in quick succession a number of times last fall when I was deciding to take this position. And before I started, my mom told me the one dish you're not allowed to touch are those oven roasted tomatoes.
And what makes them so special? I know you're the first wood-fired pizza oven in Seattle.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a combination of things, really. It's they're cooked in the wood fire. So, going back to talking about wood heat. And the research that Carla did on finding just the perfect tomato to use, the oil that we use, they're basically half charred, half confit in olive oil in the wood burning oven. When you have a wood burning oven, you have to start the fire so much earlier in the day than service, because the hearth has to get hot. And so knowing that money is just going up the chimney in the form of heat with nothing being used, nothing cooking in it. So we try to utilize that heat as much as we can during our prep time. And so I don't know the origins of it, but I'm sure that had something to do with it. Utilizing that heat, it's all of those combinations of just the perfect tomato, just the right olive oil, just the right seasonings in that particular kind of heat, where it's not super hot, but you have the heat over the top and the hearth is just warming up. So it's just a classic dish there's no change necessary.
Yeah. It's like the lasagna.
Yeah, exactly. There are a few things, even before I started, Carla told me, you're not touching this and you're not touching that, which is good. And there's no need to, they're delicious and they stand alone. So there's no need to mess with those things.
And with Lago, are you guys just still always busy, or?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was, and an interesting thing for me, because at Cafe Juanita, if we did 100 covers, we were just like, wow, that was busy, and now 100 covers is a slow night. So yeah, and I was just talking to the Postio yesterday, where he was saying it just never slows down. We just don't seem to have a slow season. So
yeah, it's interesting though, when you talk about, like, people ask me all the time for Italian restaurants, and Lago wasn't one of them,
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, duh.
People, it's an institution.
It is.
It is.
People have I think that there's some, trepidation with our guests. So what's this new chef going to do? And is she going to, change things and make it not so? And so that's why we're really trying to hold on to those things. But people have been going there for generations at this point. And so
are you going to put in a prefix menu or something?
No.
Do some no.
No.
So you're not doing anything fancy. It'll all be that style.
How do you define fancy?
Well,
really,
you came from Cafe Juanita, Holy
true.
Smokers,
True.
butter, and more butter.
right? In Italian cuisine, but Northern Italian.
Right.
And so Lago is more Tuscan driven. And so it's a learning curve for me because it's a different part of Italy than what I know so well. But also I joke about fancy in the sense of it's all ingredient driven, right? As is Cafe Juanita, as is Lark. All of those places that I've grown up in.
So fun.
It's just about get the best ingredients that you can get and that are as local as possible and put them in the genre of cooking that and leave them alone.
Right.
Let them speak for themselves. So
I have a feeling you're going to be making a trip to Tuscany here soon.
I sure hope so.
Well, maybe Carla's listening
Yeah.
and she can sport you, I
Right,
got some good
exactly.
stops for you.
Well, she has family there, so she goes quite often. So
Oh.
maybe she'll let me tag along on one of those trips.
Where's her
Yeah.
family in Tuscany?
I know I'm not entirely sure exactly, but she grew. She was born there, and she's an immigrant just like I am, and so she goes and visits them. As she did speak of a cousin that she's pretty close with. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
maybe
good
I'll
stuff.
just tag along one of these days.
Yeah. Delicious food.
Lauren, tell us something new that you've put on the menu that kind of represents some of your style a little bit.
Well, one of the first things I did was I put a chicory salad on the menu. Italians love their bitter greens as I do. And so it's a very balanced salad in the sense that you have the bitter from the greens and then there's a honey mascarpone vinaigrette that they're dressed with a little, simple, just slightly toasted hazelnuts and Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano. It's to me one of my favorite things to eat because it's not your everyday, Caesar salad or mixed green salad, but it's a combination of those bitter greens that grow so well here in Washington, and being able to kind of stretch my palate muscles in finding just the right balance between all of those flavors. So that was one of the first things that I put on the menu.
And then what about pasta? Because their pastas are so good.
Exactly. And, I spent a year and a half making pasta at Cafe Juanita when I was, had little babies. And so it's definitely the pasta itself. We're tweaking a little bit. We're using Palouse pastured eggs, which we've used for so long at Cafe Juanita. And so changing a little bit of the ingredients that we're making the pasta with. I haven't changed the technique too much yet, but like I said, there's also finding the balance of what people go there for and pushing it a little bit and slowly here and there, seeing how well the guests react to it. And so if I'm very sensitive to not messing with the institution that people love, but at the same time, trying to find ways to elevate it here and there. So using those eggs is one of them. And then they use the same flour that I love. It's the shepherd grain flour. And Karen Springs as well. So there's just offer so much flavor. And it's solid product already.
Right.
So there's not a lot that
you don't have to mess with it.
No.
So if for folks that are listening on the show here, where do they find Cafe Lago?
We're in the Montlake neighborhood. We're right on 24th Avenue. A couple of blocks south of the 520.
So they can just take that 520 turn and take that first exit at Montlake and hang a right?
Exactly.
Awesome. And then do you guys have a website? With
We
the menu
do,
and stuff?
cafelago.com. And the website that has our menu and our general manager is very good at keeping that up to date. And you can make a reservation through there as well.
I'm coming soon. Becky, you want to go?
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Tom's sick. He can't go.
Hey, Lauren, I have a little bit of advice for you.
Please.
As a chef restaurateur who's been around for a long time at this point, don't be afraid of change. Customers will respond. And, I always think that 30% of the menu should be classics. And then the rest, 30% should be seasonal. And the rest should morph into an area that makes you comfortable as a chef and shows your dynamism. Is that a word?
Thank you.
Dinah,
Shows
yes.
how dynamic you are, because life changes, everything changes, and so restaurants get old, then they die if they don't change. So I would say don't be afraid of change.
Right. And Carla certainly isn't, because 34 years strong, and you don't get that far if you aren't willing to morph.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks so much, and good luck on your job. We're going to come see you as the whole radio team.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. So good
Thank
to see you.
And you as well. Thank you.
Are you going to stay for a dance party?
Yes.
You bet you are. That's the other thing we didn't talk about. She also worked with Chef Terry. And next up is time for a Chef Terry dance party, simple to spectacular. We're going to talk a little sea bass on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Great.
Oops. Bridget just knocked down Julia. There we go.
Bridget, apologize. That's two things. You've said that Julia and I look the same, and now you've knocked her over. There's two insults you've put on our good lady today.
So, Tom, if you could talk a little bit closer to the mic, that would be great. It sounds really good when
Okay.
you're close. Thank you.
You don't get to see my pretty kitchen then.
Yeah.
You have to look at my face. You know, it's been said that I have a face made for radio.
But you're on TV as well.
Yeah.
You know, you could get a
Okay,
little
Sean,
headphone.
when you're ready, Sean, we're ready. Is Cameron getting a little radio show producing lesson here today?
C'est toi qui pleureras. Oui, j'ai pleuré, mais ce jour-là, non, je ne pleurerai pas. Non, je ne pleurerai pas. Je dirai c'est bien fait pour toi. Je dirai ça t'approuvera. Je dirai ça t'approuvera. Laisse tomber les filles, laisse tomber les filles. Ça te jouera un mauvais tour. Laisse tomber les filles, laisse tomber les filles. Tu le feras un
What is this?
Je suis pas un élément avec un cœur innocent, avec un cœur innocent.
Lauren picked it.
Sounds like Batman.
Hey, Becky,
Yes?
we should make sure that this doesn't sound like this when we do this every week on our YouTube channel, because to me it's a garbled mess. I can't tell what it is.
Yeah. So what that is it's the latency of the speed of the internet here, but I think it usually comes out right, but we'll work on that.
Okay, let's just double check it.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready to dance?
Is it
our
a new
audience
song?
ready to dance?
So
Audience, are you ready to dance?
audience, you guys have to get up and dance for Tom.
Once the music goes.
You don't have to. Carol's up dancing.
All right, it's the Hot Stove Society Show. It's time for our Chef Terry dance party. You're in the garden. Row a hoe row. That's for Chef Terry. You're in the kitchen, bang a pot. You're in your car, smack the steering wheel. Well, I'm just giving you a hard time behind you. It's Chef Tom Douglas and British Fit Charters with our weekly tribute to Chef Terry. Woo-hoo! Where we take a recipe from his cookbook, the Rover's Cookbook, and we dissect it. And for me, at least, since we're from such different culinary backgrounds, it gives me a chance to know my friend even that much better through his cooking and through his recipes. And it's been a real fun exercise for me every week to kind of cherish our memories of Chef Terry and all the good times that we had, and still make fun of his incredibly crazy recipes that he is well known for. Now I say that, but today is fairly simple recipe, which we don't see very often. Today it's whole roasted striped sea bass with fennel, Moroccan olives, and thyme vinegar.
So delicious. And you know what? Lauren worked at Rover's, so
Nope.
you guys could chat, right? Oh, you didn't work there?
No, I didn't work.
Oh,
I worked
I-
with people who worked there, but not
Oh.
personally.
But Lauren has a story about working side by side with Terry.
I do. You know, number of years ago. Goodness, probably.
Lauren, I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Just
Yeah.
reintroduce you. Lauren is the chef at Cafe Lago in Montlake with Carla Leonardi.
Yes. But I think about probably 16 years ago, I think it was, where Thierry and Holly Smith and John Sundstrom and Jason Wilson and Tamara Murphy would do these chef series dinners, and we would, all 5 of them would, throughout the year, there'd be 5 dinners, and all 5 chefs would show up at each other's restaurants and do a 5-course meal. And so they were all the 5 chefs, but they'd also bring their sous chefs or a line cook with them to come help them execute it. And just listening to you on the show, Tom, and like how your style is so different from Thierry's and how he's so particular and how things are, it reminded me of being at one of those dinners and being in one of those assembly line plating situations. And I was standing next to him and we were plating his dish. And we were squeezing some sort of sauce from a squeeze bottle onto it. And it was my job to squeeze the sauce in a zigzag form on the dish that we were doing. And he kept telling me I was doing it wrong. And he kept saying, no, like this, it goes here to here to here. And I kept thinking, I'm doing it just the way you're showing me. But it just, every plate, he had something to say about how precise or lack thereof my saucing of his food was.
Did you give him the back of your hand, or what did you do?
Nope, you just say, yes, chef, and you try better.
We chef.
Exactly.
That's so funny. So for this dish, he's cooking a whole sea bass. Typically, he says about a pound. And he's going to trim it up and take the belly out, I believe. And, we had talked about what I just experienced in London at a very fine restaurant in London, a 1-star restaurant in London, where they had left the guts in a little too long. And so the entire fish melted literally within its body. So when you went to take the skin off or anything, you literally needed a spoon to get the fish puree off the bones. And it was a soft fish. It's called plats, and it's a soft fish to begin with, and it looks a little bit like a flounder, but it was a wreck. And then we had a sole also with it, so another flatfish that it was just plain overcooked in a mush. So it was a bit of a disaster. But one of the things that I really liked when I was over there was sea bass. It has a much firmer texture. And Terry says that in this recipe that it's got a nice bite to it. And that's something I look for in fish personally, whether it's, if you want to think about the difference, say, between a wild king salmon and a farm king salmon, right? When you bite into a farm king salmon, it just kind of melts in your mouth. It doesn't have a lot of texture because the fat content is really high and it has no muscle structure. Whereas a wild fish swims all day, all night, long distances, and it forms more of a muscle, more of a texture. So that's just something to think about when you're doing fish. So the sea bass, he puts it in a pan, marinates it with thyme and garlic, fills the cavity of the fish with chopped olives, and literally that's it. Marinate for 4 hours. Bridget, do you have any problem with that?
No, not at all. And the fennel, the addition of the fennel and the structure of it's amazing. So good.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll put it. He trims the fennel stalks, keeping the fronds aside for garnish at the end, and then I think he actually puts some of the bulb. He slices the bulb, like we all do, kind of julienne, right? Lengthwise.
Right, in the cavity there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he takes that whole thing and transfers it to a large oven-proof skillet and puts it in with another quarter cup of olives into the cavity of each fish. Adds the garlic from the marinade to the skillet and drizzle the remaining half cup of olive oil over the fish. And I think people would be surprised. When you talk about a 1 pound fish, that's really enough to serve 2 people. He's already used oil in the marinade. So he's literally using 3/4 of a cup of olive oil for 1 pound fish.
Wow.
I love that man. He sprinkles a tablespoon of thyme and seasoned with salt and pepper over the top, scattered the sliced fennel on top and around the fish, roast until the fish is just cooked through. He says 25 to 30 minutes. I think if he were to write this book today, he would do what we talk about on the show all the time, which is get a fish thermometer, get a meat thermometer, digital, just pop it in the center. And you want to cook it, because this is on the bone, you don't want to cook it rare. You won't get the bone off. right? So you want to cook it kind of medium. I would say 125 degrees in the center, and you will be able to, when you go to fillet it, it'll come off the bone in one piece instead of having to tear it off the bone.
Do you,
So,
Tom, do you
yeah.
agree with the oven temperature? I mean, I feel like I'd want to go hotter on the oven temperature for cooking it.
Well, look how long he leaves it in there, though. It's 25 to 30 minutes. So he's adjusting for the lower temperature. Yeah, I have no problem with that because he's not a caramelization guy in the same way that you and I are,
Okay.
right? I mean, obviously, for me, if I was doing this dish, talk about our differences, I'd be on a charcoal grill. That's
Right.
that's just my nature, right? And so I think with the way he's doing like an oven roast, that it makes sense because he's got cooking liquid that he's kind of basting the fish with, all that olive oil and the garlic and thyme and blah, blah, blah. So he says using 1 to 2 spatulas, carefully lift the fish out onto a large plate and platter and keep warm. So he's just going to tent it with a little bit of foil. Take the remaining half cup of olives. So now we're talking about a full cup of olives for 1 pound fish. And cover with medium-high heat with the fennel until it's tender and aromatic, 3 to 5 minutes. Add the pastis. And this is one thing that Chef Terry does. He's layering that flavor, right? With the pastis being licorice flavor, with the fennel having a licorice flavor. He's layering that to get the utmost out of it. And then he'll take the flame off by lighting it up. Take the alcohol off by lighting it up. So peel away. Now you're going to peel away the skin from the fish. So again, our difference probably would be that I would leave the skin on.
I'd leave the skin on.
But you don't ever see that in the French restaurant. You don't ever see a whole fish with skin on. They always take it off. And he's going to cut the fillets crosswise in half at a slight angle, of course, and form a circle of the fennel and olive mixture at the center of each plate. Lean the 2 fish fillet pieces against the fennel. Don't put it on top. Don't put it on the bottom. Lean it to the side. And drizzle the cooking liquid from the skillet over the fish. Garnish with fennel fronds and sprinkle the fish with chives and diced julienne pepper. Now, this I find fascinating. Here's a man that has never met a puree he didn't like, whether it's golden pepper or red pepper. Lauren just told us about the zigzag on the plate. He loved his purees. I am so surprised here that he used raw red and yellow diced peppers as a garnish on here for such a delicate fish. So that part of the recipe, I thought of all the perfect times in my mind to use a pepper puree or something like that. So again, it's just emphasizes the difference that we have when it comes to cooking. And of course, he'll finish off with a little drizzle of basil oil all around the plate, which Lauren will put in a crooked line, no doubt, and infuriate Chef Terry.
Exactly.
What do you think? I mean, you're going to be the chef here now, right, at the Cafe Lago. Are you excited about doing some of these chefy events that we used to always do? Because they don't seem to be out and about as much as we used to do.
They don't. They've definitely tapered off in the last few years. But they're super fun. I mean, they're a lot of hard work and a lot of thought process goes into them. And like, what are you going to prep there and what are you going to take with you and that sort of thing. So I think that's probably part of it. But I'm going up to Alaska in July to cook at the Bear Fest up there.
Wow.
So they're maybe not so many locally, but if they're willing to take us other places, then that's fun too. So. But yeah, I'd like to see them come back. I think people really enjoy getting to experience different chefs' food at the same time. And it's a really great camaraderie for the local, the chefs in the industry
cooks and
locally. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it, was that camaraderie, whether it was here or whether, I've done it with 100 chefs in DC, or Bridget does all the fancy food shows, all that sort of thing. So, all right. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us for that moment of time with Chef Terry's Dance Party, Simple to Spectacular. Now we're going to welcome Cecil Hansen and Kristen Pearson from the Duwamish tribe to talk about fry bread on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, no, this was, sorry, we didn't tell you when you came in, but I'll just give this anyway. Yeah, so the key is, you want to talk really close to the mic. Go ahead and practice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hi. Yeah. Okay.
But you can sit or stand.
I will. I'm gonna go.
Cameron, that mic is not close enough to her.
I don't know. You might want.
Cameron, you got to move that mic all the way to her.
Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna bring this up.
Okay, okay.
There we go.
So I'll be loud.
Yes.
Is it Cecil or Cecil?
It's Cecile.
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 I was named after my grandma, Cecilia.
Cecile. Okay, good.
Honored to meet you.
And is it just one of you?
No, I'm here too. Christina. Hi.
Oh, hi, Christina.
Hello.
Tom, we might want to.
Richard, are you there?
She is. Tom, we might want to send you a new Zoom link. I just sent you one. Do you want to switch over to that meeting before we start this segment?
Okay.
All right. See you in a sec.
Oh, it cut him off.
We had to do this one. But how is it working? We want Tom. I know, we do too, but it showed up.
All right, Sean, I'm back.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Bridget. Thanks for joining us. We are back here at the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. And Bridget, I don't know about you, but my experience with fry bread is completely limited and I think irrelevant to this conversation that we're going to have here. We're going to start this again because I've lost your video, Bridget.
You lost my video. Oh, camera.
I've lost
Sean's
it.
bringing it back here. It came just technical. Should pop up here in just a sec. Doing some adjustments.
All right.
Now we got it, right?
Yeah, I don't see Cecil, though.
Cecile.
Cecile.
Yes.
Cecilia. Sorry. You'll probably have to correct me about 10 times.
Just to see.
Tom, don't take it personal.
Or
He does
seal,
it to every guest.
or like seal in the water. That's fine.
Like what?
Like seal in the
Cecile.
water.
Seal.
In the water.
Oh, beautiful.
We call her Kaya, where I come from.
We are back here in the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. Downtown Seattle is where we live. 4th and Virginia, above Lola Restaurant, across the street from Sirius Pie and Medallia Bakery. Cecile Hansen is here. She's the honorable chair of the Duwamish Tribe, as 49th year, by the way, as chairwoman. And
Wow.
Christina Pearson, Longhouse director from the Duwamish Tribe, are here to talk about fry bread. And I'm so ignorant about this subject. I feel like I've cooked just about everything in the world, but I obviously haven't. I've only made elephant ears from my Pennsylvania Dutch background. And so why don't you start by telling us about who you are, why you're here today, and then let's get into fry bread before we finish the conversation.
Okay. Evidently, I'm honored to represent the Duwamish tribe and here to talk about fried bread, which I've been doing over 50 years.
Wow.
50 years.
Well, yeah. Well, my mom used to make us when we were living out there in Burien, and when I got married, I didn't have no recipe, so I wrote her in California. I said, "Mom, can you send me the recipe?" And she did, but she didn't tell me how to do it.
Oh.
But I'm a self-learner, and I learned how to do fried bread. And today, 60 years later, I'm doing quite well making fried bread for our guests at the Duwamish Longhouse.
Oh, so beautiful there.
Have you been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we are kind of spoiled. We're used to it, but it's very beautiful.
Yeah. Lean in a little
So-
bit. Yeah.
Tell me about your mission to regain recognition of the Duwamish tribe.
Okay, well, this is a good story. My brother was fishing in the Duwamish tribe, and the state fisheries were always citing him for fishing. And so I didn't live too far from the Duwamish River, so he'd come up and complain, and then we'd chat. Now, we're talking 1972. And this one particular day, he said, you just got to get involved. And I'm a stay-at-home mom taking care of my children and cooking for my husband, and that's it. That's what I enjoyed. I said, well, what do I have to do? And he said, oh, go to a few meetings. Here it is, 2024. And I'm sitting here chatting with you.
Yeah. Don't make it sound so horrible, Cecile.
Good for you, though. Rock
So
on.
were you part of the Judge Bolt decision on Indian tribal fishing rights then?
Yes, we got involved. Well, what happened to the tribe is that they lost the right to fish in the Duwamish River, and we got legal help, and we sued, and then the next thing we lost. Well, also we lost to the Judge Bolt case too. So we still complained with the attorneys and everything, and we're still. Oh, well, after so many years, they decided to recognize this in 2001. The following week, they took it away. See, this is not right. I'm requesting anybody that kind of runs into me, could you just write the government, tell them that, we're the first people that signed the Point Alien Treaty in 1855, and we're the only tribe that's here in the Pacific Northwest struggling to be acknowledged by the federal government. This is wrong.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's an amazing length of time you guys have been putting up this fight. So
You just have to take them down to the Rainier Club, the fancy club, and show them around and show them all your relatives there and all those amazing photos.
Well, thank you for the suggestion. Yes.
They might appeal to that,
Yeah.
politicians.
Oh my gosh.
well, we're not going to settle that here today, but we could talk about fry bread, I guess, and talk about why it's an important part of the Duwamish culture and obviously probably Indian culture in general.
Well, that's what the natives ate is fried bread. Not
So does that mean that you were harvesting wheat at the time? Were you harvesting wild grasses, or what were you doing for flowers?
what are we?
Historically, with fry bread,
Well, we like to share that part of our native way. I have been so blessed by the staff programming fried bread classes, and I've been loving to do that. My last class, which I don't know what happened to the rest of the class, one guy showed up. So his name was Tim. Tim and I showed him how to do fried bread, and he did an excellent job. And he said he was retired dude, and he said, he made 7 pieces of fried bread, and he said, I'm going to go home and share this with my wife. But before he left, he ate about 3 pieces because we always share butter and jam so they can taste. And he said, oh, this is so delicious. But I always tell anybody in our classes that you made it, and if it tastes good, then you have done a great job. And I'm always admired in making fried bread because they can do it, even though it's the first time.
yeah. So it's wait a minute,
Go ahead,
Tom.
Bridget.
It's my understanding on fry bread that it came to the shore here via a potlatch, correct? In that you're sharing with other tribes and they come across for celebrations, those folks that are inland, those tribes that were inland. And so they shared. So coastally, they shared their seafood, and inland, they shared their fry bread. And then those traditions become their traditions. You talk about that, Tom. Make it your own, right?
Yeah.
Coastally, we would have ground up other kinds of roots and to make flowers, or not necessarily flowers, but we would have used camas bulb and things like that.
To make the bread, yeah.
Yeah. Well, or more not necessarily breads,
Like a flapjack or a
or like a fruit leather. You kind of mix it with berries, and then that would be shelf stable during the winter.
oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
very
about
cool.
fish head soup?
Yeah. That's Tom's favorite.
Tom, that's one of my very first memories in life is being in her kitchen, in Cecile's kitchen, and she's chasing me around with an eyeball on a fork, threatening me with it. And then quick, as soon as I could get away, she ate it.
That's a good story, Christina.
It's a great one.
So, Cecile, talk us through your recipe for fry bread.
You want the ingredients?
Yeah, how do you make
simple- how do you make it?
Oh, well, it's just flour and warm water, baking powder. I decided we needed powdered milk in it and a little bit of sugar. The way I'm sure you realize that sometimes you don't measure, you just grab and you throw it in the bowl.
Right.
Little bit of sugar, little salt, mix it all up with warm water. And then you mix it all up till it's all together in a soft ball. And then you let it rest for 15 minutes because you want it to be in good shape before you start to fry it. And so I always advise my class, now that you got it, I make sure it's in a nice ball in the bowl. Now you let it rest. And in 15 minutes, I want you to piece it up there and you're going to fry it up. And they do it and they do all the work. I just watch and make sure that they don't burn themselves throwing the bread in our deep
Right.
fryer.
So for this batch of dough, how many balls do you make? Are they like golf ball size?
You can make them as big as your palm. I watched some of these class people. Sometimes they can have, that last class, that one gentleman, he had 5 big pieces and it was really, really nice. Not the one guy, but the guy before the other class. It really was really nice. And then some would just make 2 or 3 and throw it in there and they're like plate size. You can make the
Oh.
dough as fast as you want. And if it all puffs up, then you know you did a great job mixing the dough up.
Right. And so do you roll the dough out with some flour?
You can do it any way
Or
you want.
stretch it with your
You
hands?
can do it a roller pin or you can do, I think it's, personally, I just do it with grab a little bit and flatten it out
Uh-huh.
and then put it in the hot oil.
So what kind of oil do you put it in a pan with a little bit of oil?
No, we
in
have
the
deep fryer, but if you were at home, it'd be a cast iron
pan? Okay.
pan with at least 2 inches of oil that we bring up to, the boiling things.
So it puffs up nice.
Yeah. And and when you put the dough in the water, you make sure it rises up, and then within, you brown on one side and flip it over. You're not there. If you leave it in there, it's going to be all dark and hard and ugly.
Yeah.
You don't
So
want
what do
it
you
to be
normally
ugly.
eat fry bread with? Is it by itself or is it like a finger food along with whatever else that you're having?
I would say it's really up to you. So you can make a taco. You can use it like a tortilla. You can go more dessert style with jelly and honey, lots of butter.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds amazing.
Sounds delicious.
So
It is.
So I hear you guys have a big party happening that's coming up.
Yes. Come on, Christina, you share about that big deal.
So on July 19th, we are throwing a fundraiser art auction and gala. It's going to be at Mohi.
Wow.
We have tickets available on Eventbrite for anyone who wants to come party with us. We're raising money this year for to advance cultural programs for tribal members.
Wow.
And
Oops.
Yay.
Annie Elmore.
And we're starting an ambassadorship program too for members to come in and learn how to do stuff like this, get comfortable speaking in front of crowds, and go out and advocate on behalf of the tribe.
That's amazing. And so this fundraiser, is it a dinner, a walk around type event?
There'll be a cocktail hour, a plated salmon dinner, salmon or venison dinner, and then traditional native foods,
Wow.
and then
Sounds great.
a silent auction and just a couple pieces of special
Live,
art live. Yeah.
live auction items. How much are the tickets?
The tickets are $250.
And where do I find tickets? Because I think I want to go.
Oh, great.
I brought you an invitation.
Oh,
But they're available on Eventbrite, and you can go to DuwamishTribe.org to link to the event page.
oh man, it sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it's
How
gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. Wow. Yeah, and we have
Well,
a
thank-
recipe. I think Sean can post the fry bread recipe on the website, right? This is great. She just handed over the recipe, Tom.
Good. We're rich. All right,
Tom.
Cecile and Christina, thank you so much for joining us. Cecile is the honorable chair of the Duwamish Tribe. Her 49th year as chairwoman, and Christina Pearson is Longhouse director. Go check it out, or go to the event on July 19th at Mohi. 48 different tribes are hopefully going to be represented there at the time. They've been invited anyway. Okay, next up is Rub with Love.
Thank
Food
you.
for Thought, Tasty Trivia on Cairo Radio's 97.3 FM.
Awesome.
Hey, Sean, can you go back and make a note where Bridget said Annie Elmore in the middle of that conversation?
They're going to
Yes.
edit that
At
whole
At
thing
the end
out.
of the segment there.
pot and El-
No, it's not at the end. It was right in the middle of it.
Okay.
Eileen, what are you doing there? You're supposed to be working.
Thank you. That was so nice.
I didn't know Annie had a
Okay,
pot
okay,
problem.
I'm glad you were here.
Yeah. She loves to interrupt when she's feeling neglected in
She's
the
feeling, neglected. Exactly.
Tom, we have Lauren staying for trivia.
Wow, it's a big day with Lauren.
Oh, hopefully it's all French.
Becky, why don't you reintroduce her when the time comes?
Sounds great.
Okay, we're back here in the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo. We're wrapping up the show today with our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. Treat Dad on Father's Day with some Rub with Love at Made in Washington stores located in Linwood, Bellevue, Pike Place Market, and online. Of course, you can find it at 5,000 retail joints all around our lovely country. Becky, tell us how to play the game. Who's playing? Who's going to win? All the good details are coming up next.
All right. Well, we've got Chef Lauren Thompson, who's staying from Cafe Logo, as our contestant number 2. We've got
Go back on that Cafe Lago.
You said,
You said
logo.
Cafe Logo.
Oh, geez. Excuse me.
No worries.
We welcome Chef Lauren Thompson from Cafe Lago, and she's going to be contestant number 2. And we've got Bridget and Tom. Each one of you will get 5 questions, and the winner will pick a lucky audience member to take a stroll in the gift shop and get a 3-pack of Spice Rub. So have you... We'll have Bridget go first, Lauren, so you can see how it's
Lauren,
done.
Lauren taught at the Art Institute. She knows about all of this.
Nice try. Bridget.
Quizzes, right?
All right.
Becky, did you tell Lauren the horrible fate that happens to somebody who beats the host?
Oh, no.
Is that fact or faux?
They have to wash your car or something like that, Tom?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you have to eat Bridget's nettle pesto.
Yeah.
Nettle pesto.
Fate worse than death right there.
All right. Contestant number 1, Bridget. True or false? Washington's June harvest includes over 5 varieties of melons.
Washington, say it again.
June harvest.
June harvest.
Yes.
False.
Oh, you are so good. Melons such as cantaloupe and watermelon are typically harvested later in the summer from July through September. Good job. Number 2, which variety of yellow cherry, specifically known for its exceptionally sweet flavor, is typically harvested in June in Washington?
The Rainier cherries.
Nailed it. Rainier cherries.
So easy.
Number 3, what would one be making if the ingredients included sofrito, Tuscan kale, cannellini beans, tomatoes, country-style bread?
Tom, I think she did this one for me.
Uh-oh.
Is this, a minestrone or specifically a ribollito?
Oh, my goodness.
No,
Of
you-
course, it's Rebelito.
Yes, you got it.
Minestrone. What are you thinking?
Number 4, can you please name the citrus fruit that originated in East Asia, mainly in Japan, Korea, and China? It has a unique flavor profile that's tart, fragrant, and slightly bitter with notes of grapefruit, mandarin orange, and lemon.
The calamansi?
It's yuzu.
Oh.
All right, final question. Is Nukazook, this is multiple choice, is Nukazook a setting on a KitchenAid microwave for steaming vegetables, a type of Japanese preserved food made by fermenting vegetables in rice bran, or a traditional Japanese dessert made from fermented soybeans and sweetened rice flour?
I'm going to have to guess. It's either B or C.
Correct?
So fermented veggies or dessert. I'll go with dessert.
It's fermented, it's food preserved in rice bran. So
All right.
you guys
Did you know that one, Tom?
No.
Okay, good. I don't get it.
usually lies and says yes. 3 out of 5.
Wow.
All right. Lauren, you ready?
All right, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
What have I gotten myself into?
First one's true or false. June marks the end of the asparagus season in Washington.
True.
That is true. April through June. Number 2 is multiple choice. Can you please name the unique type of garlic that is typically harvested in Washington state in late June and is known for its large cloves and milder flavor? Is it elephant garlic, hardneck garlic, or Creole garlic?
I'm going to go with elephant garlic.
You probably could have gotten that without even the choices.
Probably.
Chefy. That's good. Number 3, what is the name of the largest species of burrowing clam in the world and are native to Washington and British Columbia?
Largest species of what? I'm sorry.
Of burrowing clam.
Oh, the gooey duck.
You got it.
Is that the real name?
That the shell ranges from 6 to 8 inches, and the siphon or neck can be up to 3 feet long. I was
No, I
shocked by
understand
that.
but is that the real name? Is gooey duck the real name?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
Are you challenging my question?
I am.
You know, I have a picture. We had gooey duck at Cafe Juanita
Uh-huh.
for, I think it was a New Year's Eve dinner. And you have to let the siphon relax before you harvest them. I mean, before you cook them,
Uh-huh.
because they're still alive when you get them. And I have a picture of like 6 of them lined up, and the siphon is reaching the floor.
Oh my.
Oh.
They're on
my
the
goodness.
counter just to let them hang over the edge.
So you've seen them that big.
I have,
Wow,
yes.
fun.
Yes.
All right, 4th question. What is the term for the Japanese type of skewered chicken that is often grilled over charcoal?
I want to say satay, but I don't think that that's Japanese.
Would you like options?
Yes, please.
Okay, we've got
She's our
donburi,
guest.
yakitori, or onigiri.
Yakitori.
You got it. 4 out of 5. Number 5, multiple choice. The Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction between amino acids and reducing sugars to create melanoidins, the compounds which give brown food its distinctive flavor. What temperature does the Maillard reaction start to occur? Is it A, between 125 and 175 degrees? Is it B, 280 to 330 degrees? Or is it C, 400 to 450 degrees?
Ooh, trick
Oh,
question.
Going right back to teaching, speaking of, I'll say B.
You got it. 5 out of 5.
Wow, Tom.
280
Look
to
at that.
330.
To the dungeon with her.
I got a little help on that one. I'll give you that.
All right. Okay, Tom. True or false?
All right. Hey, I'm sick. You got to give me easy questions.
All right. Well, here we go. Kale harvested in June in Washington has a milder flavor compared to kale harvested in winter.
In June, it's typically hotter, so I would say false.
It's actually the other way around. Kale harvested in warmer months like June tends to be milder and less bitter than kale grown in colder
Harvested.
weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
wrong.
it's true. Okay. Multiple choice, unless you know this. What does the term June hog refers to? A, a nickname for a special variety of heirloom tomatoes that ripen in June. B, a colloquial name for a type of artisanal bacon made from pigs raised on a special summer diet. Or C, is it the largest Chinook salmon historically caught in the Columbia River during June?
Yes. C.
It is. It's a line of super salmon that were capable of swimming over 1,000 miles up the Columbia River and into Canada. They often weighed over 80 pounds.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
saw
they were-
Wow.
the pictures are
Yeah.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
Good job. Number 3. What is the name of the gelatinous substance derived from red algae, often used as a vegetarian substitute for gelatin?
Agar.
You got it. Number 4. The Pacific Northwest Trail, which runs through Washington, is considered one of the best trails for picking what?
Oh, I know this one.
I'll say Huckleberry.
You got it. And it's true. It's beautiful up there. Final question, which is multiple choice. Which airport did Food and Wine magazine recently list as the #1 airport for food and drinks? Was it A, San Francisco International Airport? Was it B, Jewel Changi Airport in Singapore? Or was it C, Munich's airport?
B, Singapore.
It is. Did you go there early to check that out?
I did. You know, everything in Singapore now is based around the hawker profile of little food court type things. And so that's what they've done to the airport also.
Okay. And the list was a top 10, but they had to add number 11 because the Munich airport in Germany has the only airport with a brewery and a Michelin-starred restaurant called Mountain Hub Gourmet. Interesting.
Oh, that's great.
So we've got a tie. And so I'm going to give it to Lauren and Tom have a tie. And there's a
I
question.
thought she got 5. I didn't get 5.
You're right. You got 4. You missed the first one.
Lauren won.
Lauren,
Wow.
thank you for being honest. Yes,
Thanks,
Lauren. So thank you for playing, Lauren. And after this, you'll get to pick out an audience member.
Great. Thank
For
you.
a free stroll through our gift shop. If you want to be cool like Lauren and be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard is Sean McFadden, and our talented editor at Cairo is Sean. Please don't call me Del Torre. And if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on 97.3 Cairo, you can listen via podcast. I'm going to go back and say that again, Sean. If you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo 97.3, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, Bridget, since you're in studio and have a better sound than your microphone, why don't you do the promo, please?
And we just
Wow.
need to be quiet for about 15 seconds.
Quiet on the set. Annie, quit moving around back there. Quiet on the set. Is that right? Is that good, Tom?
Nice
Thank-
job, Bridget. You're a badass.
She
Hi.
is.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bridget Charters.
And I'm Tom Douglas.
And today on the Hot Stove Radio Show, we talk with Kristen Fromo from Maiden, Washington about celebrating
Okay,
her
let's do that again. It's Frosmo.
Frosmo. Thank you. We talked with Kristen Frosmo from Maiden, Washington, celebrating 40 years and local Father's Day gifts ideas. Also, we learn about Cafe Lago's exciting next chapter with Chef Lauren Thompson. And we welcome the leaders of the Duwamish Tribal Council to talk about Native American culinary heritage and learn about their upcoming fundraiser.
Nice job, Bridget.
Nice job, Bridget.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Sorry to miss you all. They all get a free ticket to the show. Oh, no, they got a refund, right?
Yes.
Is that true? Or?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
They all had a good time, though.
Did you guys have fun? It's okay.